Just the same way I saw blackmail was the same way I saw Badamasi. So I was watching it, and this is textured, this is layered, this is handling IBB not with kids' gloves. You know, I remember the whole Nzeribe interaction with him and ABN. He didn't try to whitewash it, didn't try to whitewash his ambition. So I rewound.
Went back
to say, who is the director? That's how I didn't know it was your film. This film that didn't handle him with kids' gloves.
I told him
to go.
I told him that I wasn't going to be an apologist for him.
You certainly weren't.
That if you are going to tell this story and allow me to tell it, you are going to eat a little bit of humble pie. You are going to be vulnerable. If you want the healing to happen between you and history, between you and Nigeria, you have to be humble.
Yeah.
And that humble is that not to come down from your general high horse and show, how would I describe it? Contrition, remorse.
Yeah.
Or at least, reflection and say, I wasn't perfect. I did my best. And he agreed.
Yeah.
So when I told him that the character needs to cry in the film,
he
was like, I'm a bloody general. That is why you need to cry. Yeah. Generals cry. Generals are humans.
Yeah.
So that scene, people tell me that is their scene that kind of sums up who the man they didn't know.
Yes.
When he was in the shower.
Yeah.
And the wife came and held him
yes.
under the shower.
Yeah.
After the annulment of June 12th.
Yeah.
That made him vulnerable. That made him likable.
Yeah.
And that is the whitewash that I've been accused of doing. Because other than that, every other thing is...
It's hard hitting.
Yeah.
I still pray to sit down with IBB for an interview before he joins his ancestors.
I'll take you to me.
That would be amazing. That would be incredible. Because IBB is part of my origin story. I was born in 1985. So I was born into his military dictatorship. I have hated him for a long time. Yeah. As you get older, you lose your self-righteousness bit by bit because you begin to see intense, complex men up close.
Yes.
But what I struggled with was that the IBB that I believed people were telling me about, people who knew him, who had met him, was complex and layered and good-natured and even contrite.
Yes.
Was so different from the IBB that refused to apologize for something so simple to apologize for, which was June 12th. You kept telling me about this vulnerable, humble man who I've never met. Okay, so why am I not seeing that? This film was the first time that I caught a glimpse of the complexity of the character. I'm like, okay.
The complexity of Nigeria too.
I
think there is I'll rephrase that.
It's fine. Yeah. It's fine.
All right.
So do we continue?
Let's continue. It will come.
Did Babangida give you money for the film?
No. That's another story. I approached IBB in 2016. Somebody took me to his house.
Right.
And I was given audience. I was told at the door, you have 3 minutes, maximum 5 minutes.
Right.
I walked in.
Yeah.
I sat down. He looked at me. And he said, you're an Igbo man. I said, yes, I'm an Igbo man. He said, what's your name? I said, my name is Emelonye. He said, where are you from? I said, I'm from Imo State. And I said, I've met you before. He said, where? I said, in 1990 at State House Marina, Lagos.
Right.
He said, what was the occasion? I said, Nigerian National Youth Award. I was part of the 70 young Nigerians that you gave an award to. I came prepared. Brought my photos.
I love it.
His face just went
lit up. Yeah.
He started calling the names of people in the photographs. Yes. And my 5 minutes turned into 2 hours.
I thought so. That's kind of what I hear about it.
Yeah. Yes. So it was welcoming and opened up and said a lot of people have come to ask him to make his story into a film. He's not interested. Right. He's not saying he's not interested anymore, but let's see how it goes. I should come back in a month. Right. I came back. He would say, okay, I still need to consult, come back in 2 months. I came back. So I frequented Mina. I spent more time in Mina than I spent in London between 2016 and in that time I didn't do much.
Yeah,
My focus was get this guy.
Yeah.
The story would travel, the film would be politically successful, it would be commercially successful, and if you make it well, it will be critically successful.
Yeah.
That was my focus. Kept going, until I wore him down. Until at some point he said, this guy, other people would have disappeared into the sunset all this while.
Yeah.
After the first disappointment, the second one. So during that time, when I became a regular, he would give me...
That's not regular.
Yeah, regular. When I became a regular, he would give me transport money.
Right.
And my transport, remember, is from the UK.
Yes.
So occasionally he will give me, little money here, little money there. My strategy at the beginning was to go to him, get the money from him, make the film, get him to back the film 100% with all this launch that happened on that day.
Yes.
Make the money, retire. However, as I dug deep into him, when he gave me the interview, told me all the stories that he wanted, and it was no holds barred. Everything was
It had to be
on the table.
for the film I saw.
Yeah, so it was now down to me to insert what I wanted to insert in the story that made sense. You have to remember it's a film.
Yeah.
It's not a documentary.
Yes.
He didn't even see the film until it premiered in London. So there was an implicit trust.
Right.
So that
Did you see
idea...
it in London though?
No.
So it's in Nigeria. Because I remember...
when the film was premiering in London at the O2, at about 9 o'clock, he called me.
Right.
He said, how is it going? I said, okay, this is not the 0 hour of a coup that you're trying to find out if things are going well. This is not 0 hour of a coup. Yeah. And he laughed. I said, it's going well. People are, he hasn't seen the film at the time. So it's not as if, but eventually when he did see the film, what his staff told me was that at night, he would put the film on and sleep with the film on. So he slept, it became like a deja vu, out-of-body experience at watching yourself and seeing himself in the story.
Yeah.
And most importantly, seeing his wife, because there was a strong resemblance between his wife and the lady that played him.
And the wife.
And I think it touched him in a kind of way. Yeah. And I think, the humility that he had to show in the film, the confusion, the vulnerability that he showed in the story, maybe worried him a little bit because the macho image was being softened a little bit. But in the end, I think it provided the foundation for the book to happen. If it hadn't happened, this book wouldn't have come. He told me he retired over 30 years ago, at the time, 28 years ago. So he's a pensioner. Yeah. He doesn't have money.
Yeah.
I believe that if you like. But that was his position. Right. And I didn't want to argue with that. So I said, you know what? Right. I am happy to find the money to make the film, so long as I have your permission. Right. So I'll go find the money to make the film, and I know that I'll make my money back. Right. But did I?
That's what I was going to ask.
They won't let me.
Who is they?
Are they listening to us? No. So when we finished the film in 2019, the idea was to go to the cinemas.
Yes.
Film One was representing the film at the time. Right. We applied to the Censors Board for a certificate to show in the cinemas, and it was refused.
What?
Without reason.
So the Censors Board refused to approve this film?
Yeah. We pushed, they refused. So we re-strategized and said, okay, leave cinema. That might be confrontational. Let's do streaming. Put the film in front of Netflix. Netflix eyeballs lit up. They saw that.
Yes.
And said, we'll take this, we'll try and make it an original.
Yeah.
We were about to finish conversation.
Yeah.
Netflix came back and said they need a letter from the government.
That's such a familiar story.
I say village people. So my plan B, my initial plan was to make money from IBB and the support of the film. That couldn't happen because of, I would say, two main reasons. Right. One of them was respect, fear almost, of Buhari. So there's no way to tell a story about him without mentioning Buhari in person or in passing.
Yes.
So he didn't want to embarrass himself and some SSS guy comes and knocks on his door. Right. He tries to comport himself with respect and pride. So he didn't want to push that envelope. So even though he wanted me to make the film, but he wasn't giving me the full support. Once again, he didn't give money. So he wanted me to make the film. He wanted to test the waters because by this time the brand had been obsolete,
damaged.
severely damaged all this while.
Yeah.
So he wanted to know how people would feel. But also, importantly, which is in line with his nature, he wanted deniability.
I love that.
He
which is in line
he
with his
wanted
nature.
that, if shit hits the fan, he would say, Obi who? I don't know him.
Yes.
So he did not.
Which is something you explored in the film. Which is a character
That
explored in
is,
the
you
film.
have
Yes.
most of the character you see in the film didn't come from him talking to me. It's from me observing him all those months.
Yeah.
How he related with people, how he, he's a really interesting character. In military uniform, Babangida looked like God sent. He had presence. He smiled. He
was also a fine man.
He was a full man. That's as fine as men should be. He was.
He was regular
So
in
when he immediately they gave us the award in 1990. Okaku happened. A few weeks later, Okaku happened.
Right.
I was in final year at university in 1990, and I cried when I thought he died.
Really?
That was how much I liked him.
Right. So you'd always had an admiration.
Absolutely,
for him.
absolutely admired him.
Okay.
The charisma, the way he carried himself, the way he spoke, the way he treated his wife.
Yeah.
Maybe learned a little bit from him.
Because that's also one of the things that people who are close to him tell me. Sometimes you know the character of a man by how he treats his wife. Some people will say, is it not too late for him to rehabilitate his image? Though?
The question is he trying to rehabilitate his image or is he trying to find peace? What is he going to do with his image? His son is not running for office. None of his children is politically inclined. He's fine. He's happy where he is. So he doesn't need his image rehabilitated or revamped or whitewashed.
Yeah.
He just needs to find peace.
Yeah.
And that peace comes from knowing, okay, I've tarred my okwa and jarred eze. For people that understand.
Yes,
if you know, you know. So it's about being accountable to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to please anybody, not for anybody to accept you or to rate you or to start to love you again. Yeah. He doesn't need that. He's past that. Yeah. It's just for himself. And that's what I told him when I pitched the film.
To him.
It's to find a healing between you and history. You just have to come clean and say, this is me.
The mythology we've been told is that IBB democratized corruption. He was ruthless with Oka. He was complicit with Delegiwa. What we were told is that he betrayed his friend,
Maman Vatsa.
Maman Vatsa first, and then MK. So,
can I say something about Maman Vatsa? Even though I didn't include that in the film, we had a conversation about Maman Vatsa. And I asked the Maman Vatsa story. And his answer was, Maman Vatsa was his classmate at Bida, secondary school. And he was his classmate at the Nigerian Defense Academy, whatever it was called at the time. They were very close. And they rose after the war. They rose through. In fact, after his accident, when he was shot during the Nigerian Civil War in Omotola, it was Maman Vatsa that took over his command when he was in hospital.
Right. That's the scene that started the film, isn't it?
Yes, it's the film that started the film. I needed to put that because, I've always wanted to do a film about the Nigerian Civil War into which I was born, but never had the chance to do it without being implicated in the controversy that is surrounding it. So that was an opportunity to just add it. So
Maman Vatsa.
They've been close from that time when he became president. He made him the minister for Abuja, the capital territory, Abuja. That showed trust. That showed kind of compensation for the loyalty. But in military politics, if you hear about a coup and you don't report it, you are as guilty as the people that planned it. So there was a coup planned against IBB where they did not just want to come and kill him in Dodam Barracks. They wanted to level Dodam Barracks with fighter jets, with his family involved. Maman Vatsa caught wind of it. He didn't tell his friend. It wasn't part of the planning. So the tribunal found him guilty. The case now became, is Babangida going to put friendship above military tradition? And what precedent does that set with his other friends who are close? He was conflicted. He said that was the most difficult thing he had to do as a soldier, to order the killing of his friend. But he had to do it because if anybody betrayed anybody, it was Vatsa that betrayed him. I also met Maman Vatsa's family, who's close to my elder brother, and I spoke to them about this. I shared they shared with me their frustration and all the things that happened, and I gave them this perspective also. And nobody can say for sure if Maman Vatsa did not know about the coup, because that's the basis upon which he was convicted.
Yeah.